You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
Okay, so let's get started. This is Mike Lodge. I'm so glad that you're with me. It's been a long time, several days now, since I have done a podcast. And I have a good excuse. One, I am moving from Florida, Palm Beach, up to Greenville, South Carolina. And the reason why I'm doing that is because Florida has now become a California. Rent prices have gone skyrocketing up through the roof. Good example, myself. I'll use myself as a good example. I had a lease on this property, and the lease was not renewed with the landlord. The landlord did not come to me and say, "Come on, let's renew the lease." And the reason why he did that is because he had a plan. He knew that while prices of real estate are escalating, we have a real estate inflationary period right now in Florida, that he was going to take advantage of it. So he did not renew my lease. So he came to me and said, "Listen, you have 30 days to vacate." And the reason why I'm doing it is because I have a new tenant that's going to come in, that's going to pay $8,000 for the building. Well, unfortunately, the lease never came through. He wasn't able to get the guy to sign on. And he said, "Okay, listen, if you want to stay in this property, you now have to pay $3,250. That's a $1,400 increase of what I had been paying." And I said, "Why? This building is run down. I've got leaks in the roof. I've got rats running across my driveway. Thank God the wild cats are catching them. So I've got all this stuff that's happening with this building. The security gate doesn't work. The security lights don't work. Nothing works in this building, but he wants to get this $3,250 out of this building because he thinks he can. Out of this unit, and he did it not just to me, but he did it to the other tenant in the building. So I said, "You know what? This is ridiculous." Since I have been in this property, I have had a water leak that was not fixed, and it was costing me $400 plus a month. And no one told me I had a water leak. The only one that told me was the Department of Water that came and said, "Hey, you know what? We think you have a water leak." But for 2 straight years, I had been paying over $400 a month. No one told me I had a water leak. The other issue is that my Maserati, who I had taken great pride of, vandals came into my parking lot, smashed the front windows of my car. I had to replace the whole front windows. Cost me $1,800. Because everything on it's electrical sensors, and when water hits it, it automatically starts up the windshield wipers. It's $1,800. And then a $1,400 monthly increase. And I said, "You know what? I think I can live someplace better. I think I can live someplace that is not so demanding." You have to realize that when I first moved here, I was setting up everything, and then what happened? COVID started. Everything was locked down. I could not go out and make contacts. I could not start my business. I could not do anything. And plus, I was getting hit with all of these economic issues that were caused by other people. Not by myself, but by other people. And I thought, you know what? If this is Palm Beach and this is what Florida's about, I don't know if I really want to live here any longer. So when I got the notice, I thought, well, maybe this is a benefit in disguise, because maybe it's time that I say, okay, Florida's just not working out for me. And if you look at the rental impact on a lot of different people, those that are in apartments and everything, they have their jobs here, but they're getting hit with $200 and $400 and sometimes even up to $1,000 increases in their rental leases when the leases come up to renew. And they'll say, what am I going to do? And some people say, well, fine, I'll just go home. I'll go back to where I came from. Florida is becoming the new California, and that is the biggest problem here. If you look at politics here, everything's politically driven. Left and right. If you look at the counties that I am in Palm Beach County, it is driven by left politics. And that's not really what I moved here for. I moved here from California thinking I'm going to get away from that, and I come here and it becomes worse for me. So I'm probably the only person that has a negative experience level when it came to moving to Florida. One, I moved at the wrong time. I didn't know that the COVID thing was going to hit. I didn't know that we were going to be in lockdown for so many months. So I became exhausted. And so the losing of the lease is not that big a deal for me because I am moving to a place which I do enjoy. If you know anything about Greenville, South Carolina, it's a growing city. It's a little, to me, I'd still consider it a small town. But it's growing. BMW's there, BF Goodrich is there. They've got all the manufacturing plants there and all of the support plants that support all of these other bigger companies. They have all moved into Greenville, South Carolina. So it is a nice place. When you fly in, the airport is still small. You get done very quickly. You're in and out. But what I really enjoy is the waterfall that flows through the center of town of Greenville, South Carolina, that has parks lined up all along it. And you can sit there and watch the water flow. You can take a nice hike. You can get good food in downtown Greenville. So to me, it's a good move. And plus, I'm paying less for a much nicer place with a garage and everything else. That's less than what I'm paying here in South Florida. So it's a good deal. But today will be my last podcast from Florida. So after I'm done with this, after I'm done talking with you, I am going to shut off the mic, pack it all up, put it in a box, tape it up, and get it ready for the movers to move on this Friday. So it's kind of sad because I'm leaving Florida. I enjoy the life here in Florida, but I didn't like everything that was being tossed at me in Florida. I was looking at the police records of the 5-mile radius that I live in, and there have been 6 gun shootings within the 6-mile radius. So it's getting worse only because more and more people that are living here temporarily come in. They're transit. They're from places where it became too expensive for them to live, and they've moved down here because it was less expensive. But now I see a lot of moving vans going north. Can you imagine when I moved down here from? It cost me from California to here I think it was like $850 for me to move from South Florida to South Carolina, which is 500 and some miles away. Is costing me between $1,600 and $1,700, depending on which moving van I decide to get. Can you imagine that's more than doubled in a 3-year period? Because now people are beginning to move out of Florida because they can no longer afford living here. I've talked to so many people in the last few days that said, yeah, we're looking at moving too. We got to get out of here. It's becoming too expensive. Food prices are double the amount that you would pay any other place because it costs money to bring those produce and goods down from the other states into southern Florida. Remember, when the gas prices go up, the diesel prices go up, the man-hour prices go up, so does the cost of goods. And that's what's happened in Florida, is that it's just cost so much to move those products down into southern Florida. So food prices have gone up, gas prices have gone up, housing prices have doubled, tripled in some cases. So southern Florida just is not the place. It's become Southern California basically. Why would anybody pay $3,200 for rent on an old, raggedy old apartment building like I'm in? There's only 2 of us in it, but in this building that we're in, where nothing works, everything is leaking, and everything's breaking down. Why would you pay $3,200 for that? It doesn't make sense. I want to talk about something else. So this will be my last podcast, by the way, from Florida. You will be hearing from me next week from Greenville, South Carolina. Going back to the South, to the real South. South Florida is not the real South, let me tell you. You've got everybody from everywhere here, especially from New York. Everybody from New York has moved down into South Florida. They bought out all this property, and now they're raising everything up because they know that they can. Inventory is very low. I was trying to stay here in Florida at one point in time, and I was looking at other properties, but they begin at $2,500 and go up. So you have to make some good economic decisions in your life. Luckily, I'm in a job as a mediator that I can work anywhere that I want to in the United States. I can even work on a boat if I wanted to. I could even work in the Virgin Islands if I wanted to. So you have to take into consideration that sometimes you just got to move because it's just not working out in the place that you're living. And if you can work anywhere and do your job anywhere, why not move to a place where people like you, where people want you there? I also want to talk about one other thing before I sign off and head up to South Carolina. These mandates. Let me tell you, these mandates are costing us jobs. If you look at the last job report, it was way, way down. It's down for two reasons, but one of the reasons, and it's a minor reason, is because of all these mandates and people getting fired and they're leaving their work. So they're not going off onto other work. And those individuals who have not been vaccinated are in the situation where they're trying to find places where they can work, where they can work with vaccinated and unvaccinated, whoever they want to work with, they can work with. So this has created a divide, these mandates, and it's created a job cutoff because there's no people to fulfill these jobs. And now they are talking about bringing people in from the Philippines to fill these jobs. Stupidest thing I ever had. Here you have qualified, experienced, licensed, highly degreed individuals who are filling these nursing slots here in the United States, but they're being let go because of a political mandate, not of a healthcare mandate. This is pure politics. This has nothing to do with healthcare. So they want to bring in all these individuals from the Philippines. But let me tell you, at one point in time, I owned a staffing company. And at that time, we were recruiting individuals from the Philippines. The problem with the nurses is that they had no nursing experience. So where did we have to put them? We had to put them in skilled nursing facilities. We could not put them on the floor of a hospital because they did not have any experience. So they had to go to a place where they could learn and get some experience. And that is the problem, is that if you look at the nurses there, at one point in time they were graduating so many nurses, thousands and thousands of nurses, but none of them, and it's still the truth to this day, could not get a job in their own country because there just is not enough jobs to go around. So where do they go? They go to call centers, they go to physical therapists. I mean, the physical therapists even go to become trainers at health clubs. So they're not doing their job that they were trained for. They're doing something else. And that is the problem with bringing people over from the Philippines, is that they do not have the work experience or the knowledge. Listen, I've been in that industry for so long. We even had what is called an NCLEX review center in the Philippines at one point in time. Now, the problem is that a lot of these NCLEX review centers in the Philippines at that time were doing it because of the money, and they would stretch it out 6 months to learn how to pass the U.S. test to become a nurse. 6 months. I went in there and I created a review program, and it was a very good review program where they accomplished it in 7 days, and we had a 100% passing rate of the NCLEX review. Of the NCLEX test, which is the nursing test for the licensing in the United States. But that's what we did. So I know it very well. And a lot of these individuals when they came in taking these tests, they were not working as nursing professionals at all. Maybe 0.5%. Remember, they graduate so many of these nursing students, but they cannot find a job and do their profession within their own country to get that experience that they need. So that is what the industry is now talking about. Let's bring over these Filipino workers. Yeah, they'll come over at way less dollar amount with no experience. So you're going to be having 4 nurses on the floor of these hospitals who do not have the experience that is needed. You also have to understand one other thing is that in the Philippines, in hospitals, when they do get jobs in the hospital, they are not allowed to make any decisions regarding the care of that patient. They do not know how to make those decisions. And they have to be taught it once they get to the United States. Teaching time and getting them over that fear of making decisions takes time. So you have a patient that's sitting there and needs to be addressed. He has a healthcare need that needs to be addressed, but they can't do it because they don't know what they're looking at, because they do not have the experience. So if they start bringing over these nurses, expect some very heavy situations and not good situations happening in our hospitals. But these mandates are creating an issue. And it's not driven on a political, it's not driven on a healthcare decision-making process. It's driven by a political decision made by the President of the United States that says that you have to be mandated if you have 100 employees or more. There are individuals who want to make their own healthcare decisions. I'm one of them. I am not against the vaccine at all, but I am for making my own healthcare decision. And if there's anybody who should know better than their healthcare decision to make, it is a medical professional, because they deal with it every single day. Excuse me. So mandates are creating this issue that we have in the unemployment numbers that you're seeing now. And you're having individuals or businesses who are making business decisions based on political agendas. And that destroys a company very quickly, and it destroys an economy very fast when that happens. The other issue to those bad numbers is not that there isn't enough workers, but it's the fact that businesses are now saying to themselves, do I really want to add more staff on if I'm going to have all these mandate situations, if my corporate taxes are going to get higher? What am I supposed to do? So I'm going to put my business on hold until I know what the government is going to do against me. And now we have this issue that Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, wants to have this tax treaty with 120 some odd nations, that there will be a 15% corporate tax rate on businesses doing business abroad. Now, this is absolutely stupid. This is just another attack on business. See, the problem is that government always, especially if it's democratically led, their thought process is, okay, we need more taxes so that we can spend more money. They don't look at, okay, what are the issues that we're spending money on that we should not be spending money on? No, they want to keep those things alive. And the problem is that, like you and I, when we sit down and we do our budgets, we know what income is coming in and we know what our expenses are going out. And then that's where we start cutting back if we need to get to a better situation in our personal finances. We do the same thing in business. Government doesn't do that. Once they have built a program and they have funded that program never dies. And that's where we get into such big government doing absolutely nothing for the American public. But our tax dollars are being spent because they can't shut these damn things down. And if you want to start cutting down on debt and expenses of a government, you've got to start shutting down programs that are not working. So, a good example is how much billions of dollars are we sending to these countries who don't even like us. And we keep sending money. We're going to send several $billion to Afghanistan. Why? Why are we sending money to our enemies? I just don't get it. So that is why you're seeing heavy dips into the unemployment numbers, is because businesses are on hold. They're on freeze. They've pushed. They don't know what's going to happen, how the government's going to attack them next. So why even hire anybody if you don't know what's going to happen? So when you look at these numbers, understand that the reporting process at the moment from the media is that there's not enough employees. Yeah, there's a lot of employees out there who want to work. However, businesses are holding back at hiring anybody because they don't know what's going to happen next. We saw this happen in the Obama administration. We didn't know what he was going to do about his hourly rates for full-time employees. We didn't know what he was going to do about his health care program, if it was a tax or if it wasn't a tax, or if it was a fee, whatever. But it became a tax, and all of us suffered from it, because if we didn't have insurance, or if we didn't have it for certain periods of time during the year, we got hit with a fine. Let's call it a fine. So we had it back then. So I was, and I've told you this story before, I was a member of two Chamber of Commerce, one in Los Angeles and one in Orlando, Florida. And as we sat down at these weekly meetings, the common theme of every conversation is, I've put my business on hold because I don't know what Obama's going to do next. And the same thing is happening right now with businesses. They're putting their businesses on this hold pattern because they don't know what Biden and the Congress is going to do next to business. Honestly, I would not hire anybody at the moment just because I don't know what's going to happen. I've got to save up cash at the moment. I've got to save up a reserve of funding just in case something happens and what Biden plans to do with the economy and with the messy hands of Congress. I would not hire anybody. In fact, I'm telling all my clients at the moment, don't hire. Let's build up your cash reserves. And let's forget about any of this other nonsense. We can't buy anything at the moment. We are not going to hire anybody. We are going to build up our cash reserve just in case the economy goes into a recession, and in the event that taxes go skyrocketing up. Prepare yourself for a crisis. I'm predicting there's going to be an economic crisis within this year. Not this year, but within the next year. You realize that we are almost 2.5 months now to the end of the year. We still have inflation going up. We still have all of these economic issues that are being thrown at us from all different directions. We've got cargo ships and container ships sitting out there waiting to be unloaded. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of container ships. So we've got to do something different, and we've got to protect ourselves. Build up your cash reserves. Build up your cash reserves. Build up your cash reserves. Because you're going to need it for a rainy day that's going to come down in torrents. So now it's time for me to pack everything up, shut off this microphone, put it away in the box, tape it up, and get it on the truck. Bye-bye, Florida. You've been fun while I've been here. Well, not really. I've been in lockdown most of the time. But it's time to go. And so next week I'll be talking to you from Greenville, South Carolina. Everybody go out and have a great day. God bless you. It's going to be a good week. I can feel it. It's going to be a good week. Today's Columbus Day, by the way. Happy Columbus Day. To all my Italian friends, why haven't I gotten one single invitation for pasta? Not one single one. This is Mike Lodge. I will talk with you soon. Bye-bye. This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content. Talk with you soon. God bless.